issues like the social, the economic, and of course, the educational domain. Now, one thing that we need to understand is that, and we already know that after 2 years, we have come to realize that all of these issues are interrelated. The health is not only about the physiological health, but also the emotional health that impacts our everyday practice as students, teachers, economic factors that affect what we do, how we do it, and we have access, whether we have access to internet or other resources, and social issues like, more disadvantage and less opportunities for some groups in our society. And of course, this all has an implication on what we do in an everyday practice in the educational domain. So this is the context, and we already know, but it's a good thing to look back and reflect on that. But particularly regarding education, the impact of COVID on education, according to the World Economic Forum or Burgess and Silverstein, it means that we have moved from, as we already know, the face-to-face practice to an online mode. And this has gone, at least in the very first year, in a trial and error and uncertainty for everyone, like not only teachers, but also students, parents, society in general. We went through like, let's see if this works, maybe this doesn't work, maybe we're gonna try a new thing. And it's been a learning process, right? Because everyone went home, there has been a rise of e-learning or virtual education. And this is something that is not going to change. We already know that we're going to have more models, more hybrid models or blended education models going on in our institutions. So it's not something like a wave or a fashion that is going to stop being. No, on the other hand, this rise of e-learning or virtual education is going to continue. We're going to have more modes of virtual education as we discover them and as technology and as institutions get ready for that. Nevertheless, this has also resulted in a poor user experience. Usually, this has to do with the disadvantages regarding social and economic disadvantages, the less resources and the less access to technology and also connectivity, the more the poorer the experience that you have, and this is particularly true in some contexts. Like I imagine, for example, students who live in Union Juarez, or students who live near Suchiate on the border. It would be very complicated for them to have access not only to the actual resources, like a good equipment, but also the connectivity necessary to have a good experience online. Okay. So, as I said before, hybrid models are going to become more relevant, and we already know that. We're getting ready here in Puebla at WAP to start implementing a hybrid model in 2022. And I think that is going to be the case in many institutions, and also UNACH. Am I right? Is this something that you see coming for UNACH? The implementation of hybrid models, a hybrid model in education? Give me a reaction, send me a reaction in Facebook. I think that is the case, right? So this rise of virtual. I'm listening. Yes, go ahead, Maestra Rocio. It's better if we have an interactive presentation.
I was going to say that yes, we are getting into that process. I think even though if we go back to schools, everything will have to be online. All the projects, programs, etc. Yes, it is something that we have to live with from now on.
And as you know, I don't know if this is something that has been put on the table as far as the discourse, but if we implement more hybrid models, that means that we're going to give more access to higher education to more students. So that's a positive aspect, you know. So more hybrid models represent more access to higher education, and that's one thing that is being pushed more and more in public universities all over the country. Same for you in UNACH, same for us in WAC. So that is one advantage. Now let's talk about the challenges. So this is a little bit of what has happened on education in time of COVID. These are some aspects that are true now. Online versus face-to-face learning is now something that we think of more and more. There are more models. These models already existed, but many of us started to realize that there are specific models and there are some differences, like the interactive online model, individual online learning, and collaborative online learning. Or the worldwide famous now MOOCs, but also there's SPOCs or NOOCs, small, private, or nano open online courses. So then we always have to think of the synchronous versus asynchronous activities, resources. And one important thing that is now present in our I think it's going to be present in everything, in the curriculum design, in the lesson design, in everything is the LMS, the learning management systems, which we already know of, but are going to evolve or are continuing evolving. Like, you know, just to tell you my case, at this point right now, I have to work with Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams, Blackboard Collaborate, and I recently, just yesterday, I just got access and I became a moderator in a Moodle course. So now, in my particular case, I have to manage at least 4 learning management systems. And I think that is going to be the case if I ask you at UNACH, at least professors at UNACH work with 2 or 3 LMS. But imagine if this is true for us right now, for the professors. Imagine the world in 5 years for our students, the future teachers. It's kind of exciting, but at the same time scary. And also another thing, the video conferencing, right? Like I said before, now we are interacting through Zoom, but also Collaborate is another alternative. Skype, when the pandemic started, I started working with Skype. I already knew about Zoom, but I didn't really work with Zoom a lot. So the transition from Skype to Zoom, at least in my case, was like in, you know, a matter of 2 weeks. I started to realize the several advantages that Zoom has, and I just loved it. But, you know, to tell you the truth and to be honest, my favorite is Blackboard Collaborate. That is my favorite. I got to be honest with you. I don't dislike Zoom, but my favorite is Collaborate. Nevertheless, not every single course or university has access to Collaborate. That's another thing. That's a different story. So let me tell you a little bit about the research that informs this presentation. So when the pandemic started, I started a research project with to find out what was going on during the pandemic regarding ELT in virtual learning environments. And what I did was to ask 43 teachers of English from both private and public and private institutions. It's a mistake right there. Using an online questionnaire, a Google form in June 2020. So I wanted to know what was going on in the practice of several and various teachers of English in the state of Puón. So what I found was this, that there are, I'm sorry, here. At first of all, is that it's not only the teachers who have been through several challenges. We tend to focus from our perspective on what is going on in our practice, but we also need to include in this picture what the students are going through. I always try to keep myself here in my mind that students are what we work for, who we work for, and that's the essence of our profession. So during the pandemic, this has been even more relevant. Caring and trying to find out what the students are going through is utmost relevant. In some contexts, like elementary education, but also in higher education, parental involvement is important. You know, some students have the opportunity to have connectivity and resources, but some other students have to also support the family economically, and also that has an implication with the parents. They have to collaborate with parents if they have a small family business, or if they have maybe a plantation. You know, there are so many different things that are interrelated. So it's not, this picture is not only what happens to us, but also what happens to the students and also the parents. And if you allow me, it's even bigger. It's about the context. It's about what is going on. For example, the situation in Tapachula is not the same situation, like as far as the immigration issue in Tapachula is not the same as as the issues that we have in terms of huachicoleo in the city of Puebla, you know? So all of these are different things that affect our practice and what we do and how we do it. Of course, Maestra Yolanda. I think you have to activate your microphone. Who is the host? Let me see if I can. Maybe I am the host. Hold on a second.
No, sorry, I am the host. I already permission. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rocio. Yeah, you are the host. I just want to add, Dr. Yonatán, that sometimes we are in the purple circle as teachers, but we are also in the blue circle because we are parents also, and we are also in the yellow circle because we are students. At the same time, we have the three roles, and that's I mean, more difficult these days because we are at home. For example, this morning, I am in Querétaro with my two daughters, and one of them is a physiotherapist, and she had to give a therapy with a person online. And I had to be in the inauguration of homecoming, and my other daughter had to be in her classes because she's studying with the UMAD in Puebla. And we needed to be in different places of the house, different equipment, without interrupting each other. And that's something that makes it more difficult also these times to teach, to learn, to do, and to develop all the roles we have at the same time. Thank you, doctor.
I am listening. I was just asking for a person to give me an extension cord because I'm running out of battery. So that is true for all of us. That is true, and you know, I think that would be another interesting research project to find out what is going on. You know, the family. You know, the family situation, the family everyday activities that have been affected. Sometimes it's been a good thing, because you have, we have had more time to, talk to each other, to recognize each other. I didn't know, like, for example, I didn't know that you like this or that you enjoy that. But also we have different roles in one same environment, which is home, right? I have the role of a teacher, I have the role of the parent, I have the role of the student, all at the same time, and it's difficult to not have conflicts. It's just because that's the way it is. Nobody prepared for this, right? Anyways, so thank you so much for your comment, Maestra Elsa. I am going to continue, and I'm going to check if I also have a good chance to connect myself. So, virtual education challenges. What is going on? Somebody's microphone. Maestra, I just silence him. Silence her. So, from one day to the next, something happened, and one day they told us, you're going to start teaching online, and there are so many resources. Try to find the resource that best fits your purposes. And this, I just put this slide just to show that one day we had to start using different resources. We didn't really know which one was the best for our purposes and the best that fit our purposes. And one day we started discovering that there was Meet, Google Suite, Chrome, WhatsApp to start sending homework or maybe an announcement, Drive. And if I ask you to add the resources that you started using, this would be like a collage full of different images, right? So one day they said, you can do this. You're teachers, you are prepared. You're going to be able to do this. But we were not prepared, and that was our biggest challenge. I don't know if Maestra Elsa still wants to participate, or is it? Did she just leave her hand up? Did you want to say something else, Maestra Elsa? It's okay. So some of the issues or challenges were these from the academic perspective. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say that she has her hands up. That's why you thought she wants to participate.
Okay. Yeah, but she's. Are you going to say something, Maestra Elsa? Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I was going to say, so academic challenges. Some of the things that the participants of the study said were that exploring different tutorials was one way to get prepared, but that was time consuming. Yeah, there's tutorials available, but it is very time consuming. Another thing that the participants said was that they had to change a paradigm in terms of the use of technologies, right? One day you are an expert in a face-to-face class, but then another day you have to start using technology. You didn't really want to use technology before, but now you have to. It's not an option. So it's a change of mindset in terms of what you value as far as teaching practices. And then other students mentioned, I have to change my methodology. And of course, that is true. Changing your mindset means changing your methodology as well. Then, as far as the socioeconomic challenges, not all students have access, as I mentioned before, access to online equipment or even connectivity. Some students do not have full access to connectivity, and for this reason, it's necessary to complement with alternatives like asynchronous tutorials, written assignments, even just share pictures to avoid any affections on students and parents. Economy, because sometimes it's not that students don't want to, it's just that students cannot access anything as far as resources. Just a second, let me ask if they already have my cord. Gracias. Maestro Adrián.
Wait. I'll give him the chance. No, sorry. Okay.
Hello. Hello.
Go ahead, please.
Can you guys hear me?
Edward.
Yes. Yes. All right. I just wanted to participate with the information that you're presenting right now, Dr. Puón, because we have lots of problems related to that area. Here in Tapachula, we have lots of students that live in small communities outside Tapachula, where sometimes there's not even phone signal, telephone signal. So it is very complicated for them. During rainy season, that's also another complication because of the weather conditions. Sometimes the signal becomes weak. So in that case, I guess we have also to be a little humanist. I don't know if that's the right word, or more sympathetic to the students' situations and conditions. Because having the equipment is not everything. I mean, maybe the student has a computer, but it doesn't have any connectivity. So then I think these times are also forcing us to be more flexible about lines or about activities where there's a lot of teamwork, for example, that it's very, very appropriate for this kind of teaching. But yeah, I think we teachers need to be more sympathetic to students, taking into account that it's not always the students' fault of working under those conditions. That's why I wanted to participate. Thank you.
Right. I think that, it's first of all, it's nobody's fault that we have this situation going on in the world today. And second of all, one thing that is important to, and I think it's relevant to mention is that we have to become aware that connectivity, virtual education is an opportunity. It is an opportunity. Yes, of course, nobody argues that, but it's also a big challenge in terms of, and also considering, more importantly, the disadvantages that many students, many groups in our society have in comparison to other students, to other contexts. And so keeping that in mind is also crucial if we want to have an impact on this kind of education mode, which is the virtual. Thank you so much for your comment, Mr. Adrian. So continuing, in short, there are some advantages of this mode of education. There's a great variety of online resources, yes. Some students said, and some teachers said, it's a good way to improve my skills. So I can use more resources regarding the use of TICs or ICTs. And also in the case of some students, they become more independent. The students who were very dependent now are more independent. Some students even are, I don't know if you have noticed this, but some students participate more as compared as when they were used to be in face-to-face sessions. So that's also a change. The students who participated less are now participating more because they feel less threatened. Some disadvantages, on the other hand, is that there is no a way to totally assess what is going on the students' mind, because this is related to the disadvantages, right? Some students just don't turn on the camera, so we don't really know. There's no this feeling that we can have when we are in a face-to-face session. Like we can read facial expressions, we can read non-verbal language, and that is very difficult in virtual sessions. Let me just plug my computer in. They just got me a cord. Give me a second. Yeah. Now, as you mentioned, Maestro Adrian, the stability of the internet connection is horrible in many places. We also have students in the Sierra. Here in Puebla, we also have some mountains, and the students who come from these places, from these areas, and it's so difficult for them to keep track of the sessions. Not that they don't want, it's just that sometimes being in the Sierra is just a big disadvantage in terms of connectivity. They may have the resource, they may have the equipment, but it's just impossible sometimes. Recently, there was a hurricane that hit the state of Veracruz and that went through the Sierra of Puebla. So the students and even the campus there just lost connectivity for 1 week. So that's another thing that we also have to keep in mind. So there's little evidence to see whether students do their task or not. Depending on the type of, this next one depends on many different factors, but in general, some students and teachers report that there is little interaction, but that also has to do with the type of resource that you use, in my opinion. Finally, the teacher is deprived from assuring students are engaged or getting themselves involved in answering exercises or doing activities simultaneously. Let's talk about the institutional support. Did you have institutional support? Don't answer that question. Don't answer that question yet. But you're not alone. In many institutions, the institutional support was weak. Not because the institutions did not want to support teachers, parents, and students. It's because we were not prepared. In many institutions like I'm just going to talk about my institution, but WAP had already, for a long time, informed teachers. We have the full resources of Microsoft Teams. You can use them. It's been for a long time. Teachers, you can use Blackboard Collaborate. We have the license. Teachers, you can use Moodle. We have the license. You know, we were not forced. We didn't have the necessity to use these learning management systems, and all of a sudden we had to. Of course, the institution was not going to be available, and also the technicians available for all the teachers and all the students. So sometimes it's not that the institution doesn't want to support. It's just that the institution cannot help everyone from one day to the other. So there's been different levels of institutional support, but also parental involvement. So parental involvement, like I said before, particularly in some contexts, is crucial. I'm just going to continue to the next one because I want to just summarize this. So in short, we have the pros of virtual learning environment, like flexibility, collaborative work, teaching quality is maybe increased. Education and discipline is also one thing that you can achieve. There's more individualization and adaptability. Some cons is student isolation, I don't know if you've noticed this, but the dropout rate in WAP is just dramatic. Students drop courses like Pines in the bowling room. It's just dramatic. They enroll in a course and they in a matter of weeks they just drop out. You have to develop a lot of digital competencies, and that is difficult. There is lack of interaction in many cases, and it's not affordable for all. That's another thing. Many students use this, and many students share this with 2 or 3 siblings. So it's not easy, and technology may be distracting, right? Depending on the type of planning, if you don't plan well, it could be very distracting. Now, there are opportunities as well. So I just wanted to show this. Yes, of course. During the first months of the pandemic, we were like this, up to the left, like, I don't know what to do, what is going to go. And the same happened to the students, and the same happened to the parents. And the same happened to the administrators, to the stakeholders. What is going on? We don't know. You know, little by little, we have gained confidence, am I right? Little by little, we have cracked the code. Little by little, we are more familiar with apps, tools, learning management systems. And so that's a good thing. What can we do? Let's build communities and let's share. This is a good example. The homecoming is a good example of a community building and sharing practices. That is what we need to do more and more. We need to build a bigger community and share our expertise, to share our experiences, to learn from each other what is going on in your context, because what is going on in your context may be very similar to what is going on in mine. And I can learn from you and you can learn from me. But also students. It's not only about the teachers, it's also about the students. The students have to be involved in this community building and sharing. I hope that there are many students here from La Licenciatura, because this is exactly what we need to do. The biggest advantage of this world nowadays is that we can build community virtually. We don't have to try. I don't have to travel, although I wish I could have traveled to Tapachula. I don't have to travel to Tapachula to have this conversation with you guys. So that is a great advantage. I wish I can travel one next occasion, but now, for now, this is good. So building community can help us share practices. Nowadays, you can also work collaboratively using Genially. Do you know this app, Genially, the one I'm using right now? So let's create joint projects with Genially, Canva, Taylor Brands, Padlet, Jamboard, you know, you name it, right? Let's do that. Let's start building community so that we can learn from each other and that we recognize what we're doing well and what we need to improve on. So what we can do in terms of our practice teaching English is that we, as teachers, we need to build communities, but also communities in which students and teachers feel welcome. There is no need to make virtual education boring, restrictive. In other words, square education. Let's just show a good face. Let's just welcome our students every time that we can welcome them. Let's involve them in what they already know. Okay, for example, one thing that I always do with my students is to check if they are following what I'm saying, is that I do this. Give me a smiley face reaction if you are listening to me. Let's try it. Give me a smiley face reaction if you are listening to me. You know, it's a good way to check if they are following you. Okay. If you understand what I'm saying, this is just a mock question. If you understand what I'm saying, please give me a heart reaction. And when I'm going to say something really important, I ask my students, please show me your eyes of attention. And so they already know that they have to look for the eyes in the reactions menu, and they have to share their eyes reaction. Let's see if you can find it. This is one thing that I like. Thank you, Maestra Alessa. Good. I always ask them, okay, this is important. Show me your eyes of attention. And so they give me their eyes of attention. And now I know that they are paying attention. They are focusing on what I'm going to say. So there's no need to make it boring. We can, you know, and it's actually fun for us as teachers. That's what I think. So let's create projects. You know, teaching doesn't have to be restricted to grammar, as you already know, as we already know. Let's just create projects. You know, one good opportunity of teaching languages is that language we already know, language is culture, culture is language. So let's implement projects in which students can interactively, collaboratively create their own projects. 4th of July, St. Patrick's Day, Halloween. The next project would be for this coming Thursday. Is it today or the next Thursday? I think it's the next one, right? Thanksgiving. So we can create collaborative. Yeah, it's the next one. I don't really know what day am I in. So let's create collaborative projects online. And let's just focus our projects on the culture. That's a great thing to build a community and to share. As far as speaking goes, there's so many ways in which we can ask our students to practice speaking, because practicing speaking in a virtual learning and also in a face-to-face environment is not easy. So these are some ideas. You can use VoiceThread. This is my favorite. My favorite is VoiceThread. You can also use Video Scribe. That's another way to practice speaking. Collaboratively, and this is the main idea. We can practice speaking collaboratively by using these and more apps. My favorite, if you ask me, is VoiceThread. It's a little bit complicated to register in, but once you're in, it's really, really, really interactive. I really like it a lot. Okay. Listening, you know, I'm sure that you already know about Randall Cyber Lab. That's a great listening site. I used to use it in my face-to-face classes, and now that I am teaching virtually, I use it a lot. It has so many different ways to practice English, and it's been accommodated. The listening or the audios have been accommodated according to language levels, which is great. English Central, I know that you know about this, and also there's also tons of free resources from the British Council. There are other resources that I know you are sure, I know you know of. For example, American English from the U.S. state government, from the Regional English Language Office. That's a great way to download and use resources to practice reading, writing, etc. And also, if you want to develop your rubrics, there's Rubristar. That I just created a rubric 2 days ago using Rubristar, and it's just a good way to make the most out of the online resources that we have available. So, you know, like I said, just to sum up, yes, it's been difficult. Yes, it's been challenging. Yes, we've been through very difficult emotional states throughout this pandemic, but at the same time, there are opportunities. The biggest opportunity, in my opinion, is that we can build a community in which we share. So I guess that without any other comments, I would like to say thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your presentation, Dr. Puón. It is an honor, and I will let Dr. Yolanda to take the place.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yonatán. I think it has been a very interesting conference and very actual currently to this time that we are living. Everybody's living here in Tapachula. I'm in Querétaro, but in Puebla and everywhere. Okay, I don't know if we have questions from the audience. Rocio, can you open the microphone for the audience? And if you have a question or a comment or anything to add to the conference or to say to Dr. Yonatán, feel free to open your microphone and participate, please. Adrián, okay, go on. Rocio, can you open the microphone of the audience?
Here we go.
Okay, Adrián.
Thank you.
It is open.
It is open. Thank you. Well, I want to participate from the teacher's point of view. I wish some of the students would also participate because it would be a great idea to hear from them. But I want to say to Dr. Puón that it is, how can I say, it is comforting in a way to learn that the same problems we have in Chiapas, they're also happening in Puebla. We think that because of the technology or the access to a bigger budget, we can say, universities in Puebla or in the north of Mexico, they have more technology, more training for teachers, and I suppose they have everything figured out or work out. But hearing your presentation, listening to your presentation, it gives me a comfort that we here at UNACH, we're doing the right thing. We have the same problems and we're trying to find the same solutions. Your research is really interesting, and we can't deny that this has changed education in Mexico totally at so many levels. Personally, it made me choose the topic of my doctorate, my PhD program. I found an opportunity to study educational technology, and I'm learning lots of stuff that now I'm started thinking Mexico was not ready for this kind of change. But it is our responsibility as teachers to promote the change and to promote the adaptation, helping our students creating virtual environments so that they can learn. And I think it's part of our responsibility is ours. But then we need to be trained. We need training in order to help to make this change happen. So thank you very much for coming, Dr. Puón, at Homecoming and sharing your experience over there in Puebla. And it's really surprising and comforting at the same time that we are sharing the same problem. Thank you, Dr. Puón. And I wish some of the students could participate to see how they have been dealing with all this situation.
Let's try this. Thank you, Adrián, for your comments, and thank you for the invitation again. I will always be happy to collaborate with UNACH, and especially Tapachula. you know, my heart is there. But let's try this. Maybe the students, you know, one thing that that works for me is that the students might be more willing to write their comments. So what do you think, chicos, chicas? ¿Qué piensan? Escriban sus comentarios. ¿Se la han pasado fácil o difícil en la educación virtual? A ver, respondan. ¿Cómo se la han pasado en la educación virtual? In the meantime, I would like to also say that as the students may be writing in the chat box, that because we're talking about building community and because we're talking about sharing, I would like to share with you this as well. I'm just gonna take 1 minute. In WAP, since 2000, since I think it was, yeah, last year, in the second semester of 2020, we started working with a group of teachers locally, only from WAP. But now we have created this bigger community with the Universidad Autónoma de Entre Ríos, Argentina. So we have, this is the second mesa or workshop that we're going to have. And it's open, it's free, and it's going to take place tomorrow. So this is a very open invitation and friendly invitation to join. The time is mistaken because they created this before we changed the time, but it's going to be tomorrow at 3:30. I am going to share with Maestro Adrián this information, and then I will ask him to kindly disseminate it amongst the community at UNACH, students, teachers, everyone is welcome. And maybe this is another opportunity for us to explore other ways to collaborate. So this is an open invitation, friendly invitation. Feel free to join us. The only thing you have to do is register using a Google form. It's easy. I will share that with Maestro Adrián in a couple of minutes. But you know, it's all about sharing. It's all about building community. And I think that this is a good opportunity to do that. So thank you so much. All right, so I guess that we could have more and more comments. We could have more and more, a longer conversation, but you know, time is always the enemy for all of us. Without any other further ado, I would like to really send my gratitude to UNACH, to especially Maestro Adrián. So it's been a pleasure. I hope that this conversation, this presentation has been helpful and that we explore other ways to collaborate. I will send that information to Maestro Adrián. And thank you so much. Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yonatán. It has been an excellent presentation and very helpful and very consolating for us to know that we share the same challenges. But let me read your constancia, please, and the gratitude for participating in this event. Universidad Autónoma de Chiapas, Escuela de Lenguas Campus Tapachula, otorga la presente constancia al Dr. Yonatán Puón Castro por haber impartido la ponencia titulada Challenges and Opportunities of Teaching English in Virtual Environments en el evento virtual Homecoming 2020, 20 Years of Language Teaching, el día jueves 11 de noviembre de 2021 en la ciudad de Tapachula, Chiapas. Por la conciencia de la necesidad de servir, firma Maestro Adrián de Jesús Girón Chávez, secretario académico de la Escuela de Lenguas, y Maestra Adilia Alejandra Gómez de Lucio, coordinadora de Desarrollo Institucional, y el licenciado Antonio Bolaños Gutiérrez, director de la Escuela de Lenguas Campus Tapachula. Muchas gracias, doctor. Muchas gracias por haber participado con nosotros y por tan excelente ponencia. Y seguimos en contacto y ojalá que tenga la oportunidad de participar más adelante en algún otro evento con nosotros. Gracias y
Muchas
muy
gracias.
buenos días.
Y por ahí nos saludamos en el mes de diciembre, que estaré por esos rooms. Gracias.
Oh, ¿va a estar en Tapachula en diciembre?
Cada diciembre voy para allá.
¿Tiene familia?
Sí, allá está toda mi familia. Yo soy el único rebelde.
Oh, perfecto. Ojalá que tengamos la oportunidad de reunirnos. Cómo no, con mucho gusto. Gracias.
Gracias.
Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias por estar en este evento y continuamos con el ciclo de conferencias que ofrece la Escuela de Lenguas Campus Tapachula de la Universidad Autónoma de Chiapas. Gracias y buen día a todos. Porque le dije que se veía la luz, no me dejó encender.